Hello there, Night Owl here, and today we're going to talk about three of the strangest and mind-blowing ways murderers committed their crimes. From a pool room filled with mannequins to a woman cooking her own partner to serve to his own kids, let's explore and dig up these strange stories from the past. Also, some of these stories are very graphic and disgusting, so you might keep the lights on and grab that blanket close by because viewer discretion is advised. But before we do, if you wouldn't mind feeding that like and subscribe button a couple of mice, that would make the Night Owl very happy. Otherwise, enjoy. A serial killer from Scotland named Dennis Nilsen, also known as the Muswell Hill Murderer, was born on November 23, 1945 in London, England. Dennis would spend his entire free life in London, a free life that Dennis used to take the life of at least 12 young men between the years of 1978 and 1983. Dennis was a necrophiliac, which means he has a sexual obsession with dead bodies. Weird. In order to obtain what Dennis demanded for his sexual needs, he would lure young men to one of two places that he resided at, usually through deception as just a good time. Once Dennis brought one of the young men home, he would kill them, usually using strangulation or even drowning them. When he finally had successfully done this, Dennis would perform a ritual where he would bathe them and then dress his victim's body, keeping them around his home for, let's say, entertainment, ranging in different timetables, sometimes hours, days, or even longer. After Dennis was no longer interested in them, he would dissect their body and either burn the remains or flush them down his own toilet. On November 4, 1983, Dennis would be charged with 6 counts of murder and 2 counts of attempted murder, where he was given a life sentence in prison, with a minimum sentence of 25 years. Dennis would die on May 12, 2018 at the age of 73. Kathy Knight. Kathy was just a normal, single woman, no kids, no husband, and she really just lived a normal life. That is until she met John Price, who was a father of 3. You see, Kathy started having an affair with John, causing his current marriage to fail. Kathy saw this as a chance to lock down John as her own, and she wanted to marry John and keep him for herself. This never worked out, however, because John simply refused to marry her, but they would move in together. While living together, the relationship between the two had become a telltale sign that John should just probably pack up his kids and leave because Kathy was very violent towards John. But it took a while for John to leave, until the last straw was pulled. Him and Kathy had gotten into a heated argument, causing Kathy to stab him with a butcher's knife in the chest, and John kicked her out of the house. He thought this would be the last time he would ever cross paths with Kathy. But he was wrong. The following day at work, John would tell his coworkers that if he didn't show up the next day, call authorities because Kathy would have something to do with it, that she probably murdered him. And these same coworkers pleaded with John. They said, please do not go home. Just stay away, get out, get away from her. But he said he needed to go. He needed to be home because he was worried something would happen to his kids. He was scared that Kathy would harm them or even murder them. So after that, John packed his bags, got in his car, and he went home. And when he got home, John had found out that Kathy had sent the 3 kids away to a friend's house for, a sleepover. And she was gone herself. So he decided just to relax and go hang out with his neighbors before going to bed around 11 p.m. Later that night, while John was asleep, Kathy came home and just sat quietly watching TV before she awoke John to do stuff that, couples do while in bed. I'll let you expand on that. And then, she let him fall back asleep. How thoughtful of her. I mean, the man's kind of had a rough day. He thinks his kids might be harmed, then he thinks he might be harmed, then he falls asleep and he gets woke up during his sleep, and I mean, heck, he doesn't even know why this girl's in his house. Why is she back? How's he sleeping with her there? I don't know, but I'm getting off track, and I'm sorry guys, we'll get back to the story now. So, the next day, when John hadn't shown up for work and his car was still in the driveway, John's neighbors and coworkers began to worry, and they did what John had asked them to do and called the authorities. What they found is truly disturbing. Authorities showed up and they found John's body. He had been stabbed 37 times, and Kathy didn't stop there. She stabbed him 37 times, then proceeded to skin him, hang different parts of his body on meat hooks, and she had also severed his head and cooked it alongside many assorted vegetables including pumpkin, baked potato, cabbage, yellow squash, and a few others. Finally, she topped it all with gravy. Kathy then decided it was time to set the dining room table for the big dinner. Around the table were little notes posted with everybody in the family's name, saying where they were supposed to sit and which plate they were going to eat. Yeah, you heard me. Family. She planned on serving 3 kids a meal that had their own dad in it. John's own 3 children. But thank goodness she never got the chance. If John hadn't warned his coworkers and his neighbors, well, we may have a whole different story on our hands. We may never even know what had happened, and, well, I don't even want to talk about what could have happened. I'm just glad it didn't. However, Kathy Knight would become the first Australian woman in history to receive a life sentence in prison without the possibility of parole. To this day, she is still serving that same sentence. Herbert Baumeister was born in Indianapolis, Indiana on April 7, 1947. Herbert liked young men and often liked going to gay bars near and around his home in Carmel, Indiana. While in these bars, Herbert would use the name he gave himself, which was Brain Smart. Herbert would be responsible for over a dozen murders that took place in the 1990s, and thought to be responsible for at least 9 more victims found along Highway I-70 running from Indianapolis to Columbus, Ohio. But let's look into how Herbert committed and accomplished these murders. While out at these bars, he would do what any man or woman would do to try to steal the attention of someone that they find attractive, right? So he would flirt, buy drinks, and just make the men he accompanied feel safe around him so he could invite them over to his home. This home is now known as Fox Hollow Farm. You can actually find it very easily on the internet, and I will show you different pictures right here on this channel. But this is where Herbert becomes much different than any of the rest of us. Once back at his home, he would bring his new friend into the pool room inside his home. The pool room was weird. Now, was this just a normal indoor pool room? Yes. But what was on display around the pool was much weirder. Much different. He had mannequins posed all around the pool area, acting out different scenes as though it was some huge party. Can we say a lifeless party? No? Too far? Well, then, while his victim was distracted by the strange scene around them, he would strangle them to death with something like a hose used to fill the pool, or drown them in the pool itself. Afterwards, he would drag the body outside and bury the victim within the 18 acres surrounding his own home. Once authorities were finally catching up with him, Herbert decided he was going to flee, and he fled to Ontario, Canada, where he proceeded to take his own life. Herbert's home, the Fox Hollow Farm, is still standing today and is owned by Vicky and Rob Graves. Kinda fitting. They purchased the home for just under $1 million, and many supposed ghost sightings have occurred there. It's actually a pretty popular, would you say, tourist destination, I guess? But I've gotta say, they are much braver than me. I could never live there, but I would love to visit and see how creepy it is, honestly. How about you? Comment down below. Otherwise, my owl friends, that's going to do it for today's video, so let me ask you a question. A couple questions if you don't mind. Which story did you find the strangest? And would you stay a night at Fox Hollow Farm? Tell me down below. Also, if you like creepy and mysterious content, then this is definitely the channel for you. And if you wouldn't mind smashing that like and subscribe button, then that really helps the channel out. Otherwise, thank you and God bless.